So my name's Peter Czapp, I'm co-founder of the WOW Company, and I'm here today to share the very latest agency benchmarks, including stats on pricing and profitability that I think will surprise you. The WOW Company is an accountancy practice that works with agencies across the country. We work with around about 400 from Scotland all the way down, and I've always been fascinated by the difference between those that achieve great things and those that find it a challenge. And today I've shared some of those differences. So our agency benchmarking started 6 years ago with really humble beginnings. We just had a few stats, maybe 50 participants, and we shared this, not really knowing where it would go. But you know what? People really liked it, and they asked us for more of it. So we did it the following year, and it was bigger. I think we had 100 people take part. And each year it's got bigger and bigger. Now it's the largest survey of independent agency owners in the UK. We have over 500 people taking part, and the results are absolutely fascinating. We looked at a number of areas for agencies. We looked at how they price, we looked at how they increase profitability, we looked at agencies' plans for AI, and finally we looked at the traits of the top performing agencies in the UK, and we share it all in this year's report. So this is a thriving sector. In fact, in 2017, agencies grew by more than in any previous year since the recession. 34% of agencies grew by more than 25% in terms of revenue in 2017. That's a lot of growth. So confidence is high too. We asked agencies to rate their confidence out of 100. Basically, any score above 50 meant they thought that this year was going to be better than last year. And most think that this year will be better than last year. The average score was 71, and when you look at the expected revenue growth for 2018, this should be an absolutely cracking year for agencies. We'll find out in next year's Benchpress report whether or not they've actually achieved it. That confidence is heavily reliant on the UK economy. Last year, agencies stated an intention to win more overseas work. It didn't happen. In fact, looking at where agency work comes from, they are more reliant than ever before on UK businesses. In fact, 35% of agencies only work with UK businesses, and that figure has gone up from last year. So a key thing for this year was pricing. And we asked the question, how do agencies price? What we found was around about 2/3 use a blended rate, with the rest using tiered pricing. Now that shifts once you get above £1 million turnover. In fact, above £1 million turnover, the majority of agencies use tiered pricing. And that's where the opportunities are. Because if you're just using a blended rate, you're not charging premium pricing for your top performing members of your team. So in this year's Benchpress report, we looked at what agencies charge as an hourly rate. And what we discovered is the average hourly rate for juniors is £70 an hour. But for directors, it's £100 an hour. But who wants to be average? No one does, right? If you want to be a top performing agency in the UK, you need to be charging your directors out at £130 an hour, and you will not go below £85 an hour for your junior members of staff. That's what the top 25% of agencies are doing right now. So it's not just about the hourly rate that you charge, it's about making sure that you charge for everything that you do. For example, in our survey this year, we discovered that 40% of agencies are not charging for project scoping. 9% are even charging for project management. Now, it's hard enough making money in agency when you charge for everything, but how on earth can you expect to make money when you're not charging for the basics? So the stats on project values from this year's Benchpress report are really interesting. We asked agencies what their average project value was, what their top project value was. And did you know that only 2% of agencies in the UK have won £1 million contracts? The average is £12,000 for a project. But actually, interestingly, 57% wouldn't get out of bed for less than £5 grand. What would you get out of bed for? So there's a reason why project value is important, and it's because it has a direct correlation to profitability. We looked at the traits of the top 10% of agencies in the UK by profitability, and what we discovered was that they'd all worked on big projects. In fact, they focused disproportionately on big projects. 2/3 of them had won projects in excess of £250,000. What do you need to do to move your business onto that level? There's been loads of hype around AI. In fact, a recent Gartner report says that we're at peak hype status for AI at the moment, which is why we're reading so much about it in our Twitter feeds and getting emails about it. I've got some interesting stats for you on this subject. Did you know that only 14% of agencies are generating revenues from AI right now? And we also asked the question about what they thought that figure would be in the future. There's absolutely no doubt that agencies see AI as the future. 2/3 think that they'll be generating some revenue from AI projects in the next 3 years. So if you want to continue your benchmarking journey, go to benchpress.uk.com to benchmark your agency against the best. You'll also have an opportunity to join us on a webinar on the 16th of May, where we'll be going into these stats in even more detail. I can't wait to see you there.